Hello and welcome to the Terp Family Fundamentals webinar series. My name is Danielle Walker and I'm the program coordinator in the Office of Parent and Family Affairs. For those of you that are new, this webinar series is intended to help you become informed consultants on campus resources so that you can better support your student. Today we're joined by staff with University Recreation and Wellness, RecWell for short. They'll discuss opportunities for your student to be active and engage with others no matter where they live. If you find that you have questions, please feel free to submit those via the Q&A feature. To access the Q&A feature, find the two conversation bubbles towards the bottom of your screen. It should say Q&A as well. If you don't see that, you may need to click the three dots to expand the toolbar. To help us answer questions that the majority of you have, I ask that you use the upvote option. Within the Q&A feature, if you see a question that you would like the answer to as well, instead of typing the same question, we ask that you click the thumbs up icon. This is called an upvote, and we'll be prioritizing the questions with the most upvotes. Be sure to look at the answered tab as well for questions that have already been responded to. We'll do our best to respond to as many questions as we can before the end of the webinar. And lastly, I want to remind you all that the webinar will be recorded and available on our YouTube channel tomorrow. So with that, I will hand off the presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Mary Kate Crawford, and I'm the Associate Director of Programs in the University Recreation and Wellness Department. I'm excited to be with you today to speak about all that RecWell has to offer. And my hope is that through an increased understanding of the value of daily movement and all the offerings of RecWell, you will be better prepared to support and encourage your student to incorporate movement into their lives in whatever way works for them. We truly believe that we have opportunities for all students to truly move their way. So what is RecWell? University Recreation and Wellness enriches the educational experience and encourages personal growth by inspiring the University of Maryland community to be active and live well. How do we do that? We have 4 fantastic and state-of-the-art indoor facilities. We manage multiple outdoor spaces. And our point of pride is our program areas. We have group fitness, personal training, club sports, intramural sports, adventure programs, and more. We also are proud to be the largest employer of student employees on campus. Pictured here, we have about 800 students who work for us over the course of a year, and we take great pride in all of the wonderful things they do to help keep us going. When we talk about students moving their way or your way, what does it mean? It means that we want to send the message to students that in whatever way is comfortable for them, movement is important. Everything counts, like playing in an intramural kickball game or the more common or traditional running on a treadmill. Even just 5 minutes is a great place to start. And we really want to encourage students that making a plan is the best way to incorporate movement into their daily lives. In 2018, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services came out with updated physical activity guidelines for adults. This means individuals over the age of 18. The recommendation is to get 150 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic activity per week, plus 2 days of muscle strengthening activity. We know most adults and most college students are not getting this much movement. But the habits your student builds in college will help them succeed now and build healthy habits that last for a lifetime. So why are these recommendations so important, and why is it important for your student to meet the recommendations? We often hear about the long-term benefits of physical activity because they're often widely discussed. We know that regular activity can cut the risk of cancer down, reduce the risk of heart disease, stroke, high blood pressure, and Alzheimer's disease. But what is not commonly discussed are more of the immediate benefits associated with physical activity that tend to have a huge impact, particularly on our mental health. These benefits can occur right away after a single bout of physical activity. Today, I'm going to review some of the main benefits: improve sleep, sharpen focus, reduce stress, and boosted mood. And I think for those of us who support students, we know these are areas of concern for much of our population. When we talk about the value of exercise and sleep, there's a variety of ways that exercise helps us get better, higher quality sleep. We fall asleep faster after exercise, we stay asleep, we have a greater time, we reduce the length of time it takes to go to sleep, and we get more restful sleep, more deep sleep, if you will. There's also less daytime sleepiness that occurs, and we know how important that is for students to be alert in their classes, on Zoom, etc. Physical activity can raise the body's temperature a few degrees, and then later, when your internal thermostat drops back to a normal range, that triggers feelings of drowsiness, which helps you fall asleep. There's an added bonus as we come into the springtime that exercising outdoors and exposure to natural light can also help with our circadian or our sleep-wake cycle rhythms. How much sleep does your student need? It's recommended that students get 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Most of our college students are not getting that much sleep. We know that. But when we are sleeping, amazing and incredibly important things are happening in our body. Memory consolidation, clearance of brain metabolites, and restoration of nervous, immune, skeletal, and muscular systems are all happening. Research has also shown that adequate sleep in students is linked to better academic performance, better memory, lower risk of obesity, decreased risk of illness, and improved mood. Let's talk a little bit about the connection between exercise and the ability to focus. Aerobic exercise leads directly and immediately to improved focus and communications and concentration. Studies also show that immediately following exercise, problem solving, memory, and attention all improve. There's fantastic science that exists between the connection between aerobic exercise and the size of our hippocampus. But what I really want to get to is thinking about some scenarios that you could picture for your student when you talk about incorporating movement into their day. Scenario 1, it's 8 p.m. Your student is sitting down to study for an upcoming exam. They spend the next 3 hours trying to study, but find themselves scrolling Instagram, checking email, and grabbing a snack or a coffee or soda to stay awake. At 11 p.m., they're feeling exhausted as if they've barely learned anything. They remember it's important to get sleep, so they turn off the light and climb into bed. They have a hard time falling asleep because of anxiety about the test, and then worry that they are not falling asleep and should be studying. They eventually fall asleep around 1 a.m. Think of scenario 2. It's 9 p.m. and they just got back to their room after exercising, maybe a run, a jog on the treadmill, an intramural kickball game, or a particularly great yoga session. They get out of a refreshing shower, throw on their favorite sweats, and sit down at their desk. As they open their laptop to prepare for the upcoming midterm, they feel calm and focused. They spend the next 2 hours looking over notes, reviewing slides, and reviewing practice questions. They aren't tempted to check email, social media, or even their phone. At the end of those 2 hours, they've been able to review information from the last several weeks of class, made notes for a few topics they need to spend more time on, and overall made great use of their time. They fall asleep feeling proud of their progress. In the second scenario, of the 3 hours your student had, they gave up 1 to exercise, but they made better use of the next 2 hours. The time they spent exercising actually helped them study more efficiently and help them get a better night's sleep. Let's talk about reduced stress and boosted mood, 2 areas we know almost all students are struggling right now. Just like sleep and focus, it has been proven that exercise can be used for the prevention of and release of stress and to enhance mood. But how does this work? We've already talked about how exercise can affect the brain. In regard to stress and mood, exercise reduces levels of the body's stress hormones, such as adrenaline and cortisol. It also stimulates the production of endorphins, chemicals in the brain that are the body's natural painkillers and mood elevators. As we release endorphins in the brain, physical activity helps to relax the muscles and relieve tension in our bodies. Since the body and mind are so closely linked, when your body feels better, your mind will also. Anxiety and anxiety disorders are the most prevalent mental disorders, and we are seeing more and more of these among our student population. Physical activity can immediately reduce short-term feelings of anxiety, and regular physical activity reduces depressed mood feelings. Participating in moderate to vigorous physical activity over longer durations, such as weeks or months, has also been shown to reduce symptoms of anxiety in adults. Engaging in regular physical activity reduces the risk of developing depression and can improve many of the symptoms experienced by people with depression. Regular exercise also has the ability to help improve the outcomes of those who are taking medication for their depression. So much so that we are currently piloting a program with the counseling center on campus where students who are referred by a counselor can receive free personal training sessions in order to establish exercise as part of their daily routine. A little bit of stress is okay. In fact, a little stress helps us link emotion to life events, which can help us remember those events long term. Chronic stress, although, can damage our brain and decrease our ability to make new memories. Physical activity is shown to decrease stress and also increase the size of that hippocampus we talked about earlier, which may help students remember and improve their learning. I share all this with you today to talk about the cyclical nature of exercise, sleep, focus, improve mood, and decrease stress. When we incorporate movement into our lives, we sleep better, which helps with our focus, which also helps with our mood and our ability to manage stress, which one makes us want to exercise more. So where and how can RecWell help your student achieve these awesome benefits? Well, we, as I mentioned before, have 4 phenomenal indoor facilities and several outdoor spaces. I've shown some pictures here of some of my favorite spots. You'll see a conversion of one of our basketball courts in the upper left-hand corner where we've expanded our weight room. You'll see a picture in the middle where students have biked to a local park and participated in a yoga class. A beautiful picture of our Olympic-sized pool and instructional pool that make up our natatorium. Our brand new lit tennis courts. An example of one of our club sports teams, Wushu, who practices. A shot in the Armory, which is a 4-court basketball arena, hosts many intramural competitions, and a glimpse of our brand new pickleball offering in order to give students more opportunities to engage. You might also be wondering what we're doing to keep your students safe during COVID. We know this is the topic of conversation. One of the major things we've done in our building is to require reservations. This helps us keep our capacity at the acceptable levels, and for students to know that when they get to our facilities, there will be a spot available for them. Not surprisingly, we require face coverings in all of our spaces at all times, and we do understandably have limitations on some of our activities, such as basketball and some of our equipment rental policies. We've also enhanced our cleaning procedures. As I mentioned, we've limited capacities in all of our spaces and taken both our patron and our staff, who I mentioned earlier, safety as our top priority by adding plexiglass barriers and enhanced cleaning protocols. If you're interested, there is a link that I'd love Danielle to share, recwell.umd.edu/keepmoving, which you can see our entire health and safety plan if that's an area that you have questions about. As I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, the pride of RecWell is also in our program areas. We have 6 main program areas that you see on the screen: Intramural Sports, Adventure, Fitness, Club Sports, our Aquatics program, and our golf course. Now, many of the plans that are shared on this screen are when we were able to be fully in person. So I will be talking about some of our in-person offerings here, which you likely know are temporarily suspended, but I'll also make sure to touch on the virtual offerings, which are ongoing. Our Intramural Sports program has 21 in-person sport tournaments on the calendar this semester. It's ranging from things like modified human foosball, where students have the opportunity to play indoor soccer, but they're all in a designated quadrant in order to maintain physical distancing, to things like cornhole and tennis and table tennis, to the whole spectrum. Obviously, we've had to make significant modifications to our typical intramural sports calendar, where we're not able to offer our previously most popular sports of flag football, basketball, and soccer. But I'm hopeful we will get back to that place in the coming semesters. In addition to those in-person activities, we have 15 virtual intramural leagues, including trivia and esports. In our adventure program, we have trips and clinics, like I showed in the picture on the previous slide, many of which this semester are what we call bike and hike. So students bike to a destination close to campus and engage either in yoga, hiking, climbing, or boating. Our adventure program also manages our climbing wall and challenge course. We have a robust bike shop and gear rental program. And this semester, they've added virtual escape rooms, which have been incredibly popular, especially among our student organizations, as team building activities for students. If you've never participated in a virtual escape room, I will tell you, it has all the makings of what we know about escape rooms, where students get to work together to solve puzzles and clues, and then they move, along a continuum, and the challenges get more and more difficult. And at the end, I think there's just such a sense of satisfaction and achievement when they've been able to work together to solve the clues. Next up is our fitness program, where typically we're able to host about 100 in-person group fitness classes a semester. This is when we're able to keep our doors open our maximum amount of time. We're a little bit limited this semester, but in order to make up for what we're not able to offer in person, we're offering virtual group fitness classes every day of the week. And we also have a fitness YouTube account where we have over 100 pre-recorded and on-demand virtual classes. We've really tried to promote these in particular this week, knowing that our students can't visit us in the rec center. In addition to our group fitness classes, we have a personal training program, the same one I mentioned earlier in connection with the counseling center. And we do fitness assessments for those students who are interested in understanding where they are now and working towards new goals. Our club sport program is one of our largest, with 47 student-run clubs. These student organizations range from club soccer and club lacrosse to equestrian, the wushu that I had pictured on an earlier slide, ballroom dance, and gymnastics. This year and last semester, these clubs were limited in their ability to compete, but many have found ways to work on conditioning and strengthening activities as a group. And we find that many have actually been taking our group fitness classes together so that when they are able to compete again, they're in peak physical condition. Our aquatics program includes the 2 indoor pools that I showed you in an earlier slide and 1 fantastic outdoor pool that will be open before we know it. We offer aquatic safety courses, and we hope to be able to offer our Learn to Swim swimming lesson classes in the future, although due to COVID restrictions, we're limited in that capacity right now. And our golf course is our most popular spot on campus these days. We've played more rounds of golf in the last 6 months than we have, in 20 years. We had our highest number of rounds ever this summer. And as you can imagine, it was a very attractive activity for those individuals looking to be in community, but looking to do so safely. We offer individual and group instruction on our golf course. We have a driving range and a putting. We even offer miniature golf sessions over there. And there's a lot to offer. Students can have student memberships, and they're quite reasonable rates for students to participate on the golf course. I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into 4 program areas, starting with intramural sports, and go over again what we're offering this semester. So this semester, the highlights, as I mentioned, include human foosball, a modified kickball and dodgeball league, cornhole tournament, and the list goes on. We're also offering virtual esports like Fortnite, Super Smash Brothers, League of Legends, some other of those. I'm very proud of myself for remembering the names of some of those esport leagues that we're offering. We're also offering tennis, table tennis, and some skills competitions like a basketball shootout and a punt pass kick for our football fans. As I mentioned, our adventure program is also working hard to offer safe offerings this semester, with most of their trips being designed as bike and hike. So instead of being able to take vans or buses to further away locations, all of the trips are biking distance. And we've also done some modifications to host more outdoor adventure programs on campus. We're looking to host some bonfires this semester right behind our Epley Recreation Center, all with appropriate physical distancing and mask requirements in place. Our bike shop is a great way for your student to learn how to maintain their own bike so that they can go mountain biking or just ride on the trails that are immediately adjacent to campus. Our fitness program, as I mentioned earlier, encompasses both our group fitness and our weight rooms. Our weight rooms are based on capacity limitations right now, so everything is reservation based, but we have every piece of equipment that we've always had, just more spread out than ever. You may remember that picture from a few slides ago with weight racks in a gymnasium. And essentially, because we're not able to offer basketball this semester, we have converted one of our large gyms into a weight room so that everyone has the space they need to continue exercising. And this has been just one of our most popular spaces. Because of the demand last semester, we expanded our offering, and we also opened up another facility in the School of Public Health, which is adjacent to our main gym, so that we could provide more space to our weight room hours. Finally, I know club sports is often a hot topic with lots of questions from parents and families, so I wanted to touch on that a little bit more. Club sports is a little bit different from intramurals in that these are student organizations where sport is the focus. They receive support from the Student Government Association, but they're advised by our club sport professional staff. And I speak from personal experience in saying that club sports, changed my undergraduate career. I had the opportunity to play on a club team for 4 years here at the University of Maryland, and maintain many of those friendships to this day. And I'm quite proud of our robust club program. As I mentioned, they've found ways to be creative and safely participate with one another in conditioning style practices. They've taken group fitness classes together. And just really worked hard to maintain those friendships and connections that we know students so desperately need right now. So that has wrapped up the presentation portion of this session, but I'm excited to take your questions and focus on the areas of interest that are relevant to you and your student.
Great, thank you, Mary Kate. So for those of you that either joined a little late or are not sure how to submit questions, please feel free to do that using the Q&A feature. If you look towards the bottom of your screen, you'll see 2 conversation bubbles and Q&A written there, and you can submit questions there. So the first question is just, how are you promoting movement and exercise? How are students being made aware of this, even though your facility is currently closed?
Sure. So we are temporarily closed. And of course, that's disappointing to all of us. A couple of the ways that we're promoting right now, the number one is through the Keep Connected email that all students receive. So this goes out every Wednesday. And each week we promote, we highlight something new. So for example, last week or just yesterday, we highlighted the escape rooms I talked about, our group fitness programs, and a couple virtual intramural leagues that were added just last minute so that we could have some offerings this week, because nothing was on the schedule this week previously in intramurals. We had planned to be all in person. So we've had to pivot a little bit in those categories. In addition to Keep Connected, I can't recommend enough to encourage your student to follow us on social media. You can find us at UMD RecWell. But on all the popular platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I'm not on TikTok. But those are really the best ways for the students to find out more about what we're offering. And also, I'm not sure if Danielle shared in the chat, but the recwell.umd.edu/keep moving page is a central portal for all of our virtual offerings. And they can also navigate to when we are able to reopen to see the rest of our in-person offerings as well. But certainly a challenge that we acknowledge.
Yes. If you haven't already opened the chat feature, I have listed a number of links there. So the Keep Connected link is there. The COVID-19 health and safety plan is there, as well as a link to YouTube, Intramurals, Adventure Fitness, and Club Sports. So they're there in the chat feature. And then also I'll be sending out an email later today or tomorrow with these links included as well.
Thank you so much, Danielle.
The next question is about the variety of videos on the UMD Fitness YouTube. Many of them seem to be like yoga classes. Is there any plan to diversify those offerings?
Sure. So one of the things we've worked really hard on this semester, because when we designed virtual fitness, so much of what we designed was around classes like yoga that don't require equipment. One of the things we started just this semester is we now rent weight equipment that students can rent and take back to their residence for a month at a time. And that has allowed us to diversify some of the classes that we offer. So body pump, for example, is one that uses weights. And I see in the question might be more attractive to your student depending upon what their fitness goals are. But overwhelmingly, we're trying to make sure that the fitness classes are the virtual fitness classes are accessible to everyone, regardless of the space they're in or the equipment they have access to, which is perhaps why they are more geared towards yoga or some non-equipment focused courses.
Great, thank you.
I can provide, afterwards, I can get the link to the equipment rental program so that if that particular parent wants to share, so the student can rent the weight equipment for their own residence, that would be easier for them.
Great, I can, I may have pulled that. Is it the one for the outdoor gear rental? Or is that separate?
No, it's through our fitness page called the Body Pump Equipment Rental Program. So if they do follow the link on the fitness that you shared earlier, it would be right on that page.
Okay, I will get that link and also include that in the email too.
Perfect. Thanks, Danielle.
You're welcome. So those are the questions that we have in the Q&A. If you do have any additional questions, you'll see the contact information for RecWell as well as for my office, Parent and Family Affairs, listed there on the last slide. I do want to thank you for taking the time to join us this afternoon. As I bring this webinar to a close, I do want to remind you that a recording of this webinar will be available on our Terp Family YouTube channel. So if you want to share this with your Terp, please feel free to do that. You'll also receive an email with a link to the recording all of the links that I've included in the chat, as well as a survey. So please let us know how we did, how we can improve on future webinars, as well as other topics you want to hear about. I thoroughly enjoy connecting with our campus partners to put these programs on. So please feel free to share other ideas that you would like to learn about. I welcome your thoughts on that. So thank you all again for joining us today, and have a wonderful rest of your day.